one of the questions that evolved out of the work, my talking to you guys and, from previous interviews, was, does technology drive civilization, or does civilization drive technology? And, where are we on that? If so many things are happening, I mean, is there at some point in time that we need to say, where do we step in? Where do we have a vote? Years ago, I read a book called "In the Absence of Sacred," and it's a 1991 book. It talks about technology and kind of compares technology to the native cultures and looks at different dynamics. And the question was, are we serving the human? Are we really paying attention to that interactive, that evolutionary or environmental consideration that you talked about, David? Are we really paying attention to that? And how do you go about doing that? Do you do it on an individual basis? Do you do it on a global basis? How do you step in?
Well, and I think that's that's the challenge. I think you've done a great job of just kind of enumerating that. But I think the answer is both. I mean, so, is technology driving, humanity? Is humanity driving technology? And, so I kind of worry. My concerns would be, underneath the surface of that, what are the motives of, the organizations that are, ultimately, mobilizing this technology. And I think that's probably everybody's, kind of, the concern is, what lies beneath, what maybe is hidden from view. So you think about social media, and I think there's, tremendous, upsides to it. But I think, as a society, we're also seeing, kind of how that's, weaponized isn't maybe the right word, but, how it can become, a net negative as well. So, my concern always is, how do you leverage a tool, for good, and not necessarily ultimately have that something that, just what's the potential for damage for that too. And so I think, profit motives and, some of the organizations behind some of these products potentially can turn, what could be a positive, can turn them sour. And I think that's the, that's the concern. That's the challenge.
Well, David, would you agree that the market is the best answer? That I have an overweening belief in people. Mm-hmm. And you can't pull, I don't want to quote that thing about you can fool so many people, but the bottom line is, if you come up with a product that doesn't serve people, they're not going to buy it. Mm-hmm. And somebody mentioned John Scully. He really did come up, or at least in his working at Apple, the first smartphones, and they were a total disaster. And I'm not crazy about Steve Jobs as a person, but he certainly understood design.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with Elon Musk. I think there's a lot of, I think there's been a lot of just, those who've pushed the envelope.